on Nova 100.
You're on the air with Jason Lauren. Clint's here from the newsroom as well. This is Nova 100 and we have major dramas going on at the D's. Clint Stenaway.
We do. It involves a favourite in red and blue, a Norm Smith medalist, premiership player, and our friend, Christian Petracca. So yesterday, he reportedly told the Melbourne Football Club that he wants out. He wants to play elsewhere in 2025.
Now, I want to know how
we know that.
Exactly. Tom Norris is the chief footy reporter at Channel 9.
He broke this story initially. He joins us from obviously Channel 9 and in his role at SEN. Good morning to you, Tommy.
Morning, Clint, Jason, Lauren.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning,
it's with
Tom.
It's with a heavy heart, isn't it, that we talk about Christian Petracca in this way, but we need to because it could be the biggest footy story in some years.
I've got mixed feelings about it because I'm a bit like, I don't think he's going about it the right way, but at the end of the day, there's two sides to every story. He's obviously got his reasons he wants out. How how accurate is the details of him wanting out? How do you know?
Yeah, accurate. Yep, he's wanted out for some time now. He wants to play for another club next year. The big question that had to be answered over the last few days was not whether he wanted out or not, whether he was brave enough and courageous enough to say it to the club, to say, I want to play for another club. But it's one thing to think it. There's lots of players every year that would think, I wouldn't mind playing elsewhere. I wouldn't mind breaking my contract. I prefer to do this or that. But to actually walk into the club and say it is a whole nother level because he has to be prepared that Melbourne says back to him, you're not going anywhere. And then he has to be prepared that at the start of pre-season training, he walks back into the club and has to confront his teammates. So that's why it's a brave call for him to take it this way. It's a nuclear option, but he clearly feels as if there's no other scenario that can make him the player that he wants to be.
Hey, Tom, I mean, he's gone in and said that to the club, but there's this story floating around as well that they were all, I don't know if it was an official function or the D's players were all at something together the other day, and a few people gave him the cold shoulder and have told him they're not very impressed. So how does that even look moving forward if he does have to stay?
It's such a good question because...
Is that what happened? Do you know that? Is that what happened on Saturday night?
Yeah, Saturday night there was a club function, and my understanding is that, there is a little bit of tension in the playing group, clearly, not just from players towards Christian, but also from Christian towards players. Like, it does work both ways, doesn't it? And clearly, players who are really loyal to the club and want the best of the club see the Demons being crawled through the mud and don't like what's happening at the moment. So that's entirely understandable that there is that friction. But there is countless examples of players who want out that then don't get out and get back to the club and have to eat humble pie and continue on their careers. But it's so volatile at the moment, and he has pressed this nuclear button that makes it really hard to see how he can come back into Melbourne and continue on his career as it was before.
So, Tom, you reported this a couple of weeks ago. You told Melbourne that he was disgruntled, Melbourne being the city, not the football club, and probably the football club as well. We've watched over the last few weeks this narrative change. It's got to a point now where I firmly believe, and I think you are of the same belief, that he more likely than not won't be playing at Melbourne next year. Are you of that view?
I just don't know exactly what Melbourne's position is now. So we know what Christian's position is. We know that there'd be clubs that would love to have him.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Melbourne would allow it to happen. And if they did, okay, let's just imagine they did open their ears and said, okay, give us your best offer to other clubs. What would satisfy the Demons? Because it's not clear cut. I mean, he's had this terrible injury that you guys have spoken to him about that is more significant physically and mentally than an ACL or a shoulder or even a back or an arm injury. So how did you recover from that? He's not exactly a 23 or 24-year-old, so he's probably, at his absolute best, he's probably only got 2, maybe 3 years left, so he probably needs to go to a team that's in contention. He's on good money. I don't think it's clear-cut yet whether he can get out or not, and
I'm just sensing.
Melbourne's within its right to say no.
It's a catch-22, though. If they sit there and go, well, we don't want to let one of our most valuable weapons go, but then what's it going to do internally to the team if we keep him?
Yeah, and we've seen that happen at footy clubs before, and
exactly.
It's a disaster.
Yeah, I think if that does happen, then Christian Petracca, being the professional he is, has no choice but to go back into the club and be the best player and the best person he can be.
You know what? Which Track would do?
He would.
Track would do. He would rock up and be professional.
So just one last one. What would satisfy Melbourne? What world would we live in which Christian Petracca would be playing for a rival club next year?
Well, the D's hold all the cards, don't
That's
they? Because
right.
he's a contracted player. And the only thing that I believe would satisfy Melbourne would be well overs to what his actual market value is. So it might be 2 or 3 first-round picks and a player. You know, it's something that they can't say no to. And this is the thing, and you guys know this, that every player actually has a price.
Yeah.
You might say, no, we're not trading Bontempelli from the Western Bulldogs. But if someone gave you the top 5 picks in a draft and a key forward, you'd go, well, we're probably obligated to think about it. So the reason why Melbourne at the moment is saying no is because they lose bargaining power as soon as they say, actually, let's have a think about it. And that's what Petrarca's trying to force. He's trying to force the Demons to at least open their ears and think about trading him. But at the moment, it's pretty tense.
Okay, just quickly, Tom, got to put the house on it. What club's Petracca going to be playing for next year?
Oh, well, luckily I don't live in a big house. I think I think if it's anything, it's going to be Carlton. But it's still a long way to go before it gets to that.
Gee, the Blue Baggers would be happy to have him at Carlton, wouldn't
Absolutely.
Tom's been right across this story since day one, so tune in to Channel 9 for all the latest.
they? Thank
Tom
you,
Morris
Tom.
joining us on the air. Cheers, Tommy.
Thanks, Clint. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Jason.
See you, mate.
Wow.
Yep. Petracca's gone to ground.
news.
I mean, we talk about meeting commitments. He hasn't rocked up on this show for a couple of weeks. I can understand why, but I'm also like, this isn't the way to go about it, you know?
Well, I mean, if he wants out, maybe it is the way to go about it.
As a D's fan, is it leaving a bad taste in your mouth?
Yes.
I think you wouldn't be alone with that. Hey,
Well, there's that many. You think about the kids running around with number 5
exactly, yeah.
on their backs. He signed a deal until, 2029?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Gonna be a good day. Jason Lauren.
Wake up feeling good.
On Nova 100.
Jason Lauren.
Follow them on socials.